Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I decided to talk about my journey with school. I'm almost done with my final project to obtain my bachelor's degree, and as you've seen on the thumbnail, I took my graduation picture. My journey with school was a bit of a roller coaster. First, I'm going to show you how school works here in Quebec. After graduating high school in 2010, I went to college, or what we call here Cégep. At that point, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, so I started in a no program kind of. It's kind of crazy to be asked what you want to become as a 17 or 18 years old that doesn't have much experiences in life. Yeah, I started in that no program, and I was only taking obligatory classes. In Cégep, you still have to take French, English, PE, and we also have 3 philosophy obligatory classes. On top of that, I was also taking a orientation class to help me find what I wanted to do with my life, and it didn't really help but at least I tried. You can do that no program for a year, and then you have to choose a program. So I took human sciences. It's a pre-university program. In Cégep, you have 2 pre-university programs. You have sciences and human sciences. I love psychology, so I thought I love psychology, like I said before, so I thought that studying human sciences could be fun. On my second semester of studying human sciences, I failed a couple of classes because I had absolutely no intention at that time to go to university. So I failed, I think, 2 classes out of 5. One of them is French. French is my first language, but French is hard, man. The next school year, I decided to try a program that wasn't a pre-university program. It was childhood education. It was to become a kindergarten teacher. I love kids and I want to become a mom eventually, so I thought, let's just try this. But I think a month into it, I realized that it wasn't something I wanted to do. So after months, I dropped out of the program and I decided to just start working. The first time I dropped out of school, my mom was really scared because she didn't want me to stop studying. But after trying for 2 years and a month, I just still didn't know what I wanted to study, and I just, yeah, I think it was a better choice to just start working. And since I was working full-time, I was able to save money. In the summer of 2013, I made my first trip to South Korea. And I loved it so much that during my trip, I was already planning to come back. When I came back to Canada, I kept on working and decided to try going back to school again. This time I tried studying fashion design. The school was pretty far. It was a private school and it was quite expensive. It was an hour and a half going and coming from school every day. I had to take the first bus every morning. It was at around like 5:45 a.m. I would often just sleep in the bus. I studied for a year. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning about how to make clothes, but again, I realized that it wasn't a field. Often I felt kind of a little different from my classmates. I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like it wasn't the right space for me. At the same time, I was also saving money to go back to South Korea and to study over there. So after a year in fashion design, I took a break from school again. Well, not really, because I went to study Korean in South Korea. I stayed in Seoul for 7 months. I did 2 semesters. I failed my first semester and I was really upset, but things happened. But I really, really loved it. I loved being in South Korea. I met amazing people. I have a group of friends that I still talk to this day. Mind you, this was in 2014. It's been 8 years now, almost. And I still have friends that I met in South Korea, which I'm really close with. I think if you have the opportunity and the money to go abroad and live as a foreigner for a bit, I think you learn a lot from that experience, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. After 7 months, I came back to Canada. At this point, I was starting to think about going to university because I wanted to find another way to go back to South Korea. So I was thinking about becoming an English teacher to teach in South Korea. But because I hadn't finished CEGEP yet, I needed to accumulate enough credits to get my college diploma. So I started school again and took random classes just to have enough credits. So I got a diploma without mention because I didn't have enough credits in any program to get a mention. So after coming back to Canada, I only did 1 semester in CEGEP to get my diploma. At the same time, because I didn't want to lose my Korean, I was talking on this app called HelloTalk to keep on using Korean and to keep on learning, because there's no, at least at the time, there wasn't a lot of Koreans in my city. That's how I met my ex. You might wonder why I'm talking about this, but you'll understand later. So during winter 2016, I traveled back to Korea for the third time, and that's when I met my ex for the first time. When I came back to Canada, I wanted to find a way for us to be together. So he applied for a working holiday visa, and I moved to Toronto, because where I live, it's only French, and he didn't speak French. So the best for us was going to Toronto. I ended up living in Toronto and working there for a year and a half. Once he went back to South Korea, I came back to Quebec, and that's when I started school again. But now I was starting university. I was pretty excited about starting university because at that point I wanted to have the university experience. So I started university in 2017 as, this is a bad translation, but a free student. So again, I had no major. I was just studying different classes. I was doing a micro program on healthy habits, which was fun. I had a class on sleep, nutrition, physical health, and stuff like that. And I was also taking other classes just to try. And again, at that time, I was meeting with a counselor because I still didn't know what to study. I ended up choosing to do a multidisciplinary bachelor's degree. In South Korea, to teach English, you don't need a bachelor's degree in education. You can have any bachelor's degree. And if I had to study for 3 more years, then I wanted to study things that I enjoy. If you don't know I don't know if there's that kind of bachelor's degree anywhere else, but it's kind of build your own major kind of bachelor's degree. So I had to choose 3 certificates with 30 credits each. I picked psychology because, of course, I picked cultural diversity because I was going to work in another country, and the last one is called ability to teach a second language, and I picked English. I think during my second year, that's when COVID hit. So I wasn't traveling to South Korea. So one of those summers, I took an online course. It's a TEFL course because I felt like what I was going to learn in my certificate at university wasn't going to be enough to teach. I felt like I needed more knowledge. It actually took me more than 3 years because at the end of my last year, there were classes that I couldn't take It was weird. It's still a new certificate, so it was a little bit weird. And because last semester I had my quarter life crisis. If you haven't watched my very first video, I did a whole video on what happened. But in short, I left my boyfriend of almost 6 years and decided that maybe I didn't want to be an English teacher. So I lost pretty much all of my motivation to study last semester. So I was taking 2 classes and I kind of dropped one of them. I was the only one in that class and it was my final project. And I sent a message to my teacher and explained the situation that I was going through. And he told me to just stay enrolled in this class and just continue this semester. So right now that's what I'm doing. It's my last 3 credits and now I'm 29 years old. I'm almost done with my final project. And I'm about to graduate, but I don't really want to be an English teacher anymore. I don't regret any of my decisions. I don't regret coming back to school, dropping out of school several times, changing my path several times. I'm poorer than if I hadn't, but I think I gained a lot from my journey. I don't regret anything because at least I tried. Some people will study all the way through and graduate and work in the field they studied for and be happy, and others won't. And that's okay. I think we all have our path. We all have our own timeline. Life isn't a race. Education isn't a race. Although I'm about to graduate, I don't think I'll ever stop being a student because I love learning. Maybe one day I'll even go back to school again, probably to study psychology. But I don't know. I'm not against the idea of going back to school again. It's pretty funny considering I used to really hate school and that I never thought I would even go to university. However, I'm done for now. I'm kind of tired. I want to retire as a student for now. I'm ready to close this chapter of my life and start the next one. I hope that no matter your age and what you've been through and the path you took, I hope you don't whether you stopped after high school or whenever, after 1 year in a program or anything, I hope you don't. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to share it because I think often you just see people just studying all the way through, and you know, it's not like that for everyone. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time, maybe. Bye. Toronto.